up, you're going to be hearing from the wonderful developer, Maverick. You're going to be hearing from the wonderful art director, Nora. And you're going to be hearing from the wonderful, wonderful CEO, Teagan Morrison. Let's go ahead and meet them now, folks. Please welcome them to the stream. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are on camera now. Yeah, hey, look everyone. At that. I'm dual wielding right now for maximum hydration. So if there's anyone in chat that forgot your drink, oh yeah, twinsies. I got one for you. Welcome, y'all. Let's go around and I gave people a brief name introduction, but let's get into a little bit of more. Maverick, do you want to let people know your role and what you worked on Face Customizer specifically, and what your favorite part of Face Customizer is?
Sure. Hi, hello. My name is Maverick. I'm one of the developers here at Hero Forge. What I work on the site is I work on a lot of our front-facing stuff. So I'm basically a front-end developer on the site. Any of our art assets that get made, I basically work on the in-between tools that allow you guys to actually modify and edit them on the site. My role for the face pads specifically I basically added all our 3D controls into the site itself. So I was responsible for everything that allows us to basically go in and actually drag and drop or drag and move stuff on the face itself. So any of the pads you'll see highlighting during the stream today, or the actual physical dragging of stuff happening on the face, that's all me. But yeah, as for Face Customizer, the thing I'm most excited about seeing for this is honestly just how much things have opened up for the site to allow you to customize things in ways never before done. We've had to add basically our whole new tools, well, the entire part I worked on, the facepad side of things, to allow users basically to edit things in ways that are a lot easier, and basically we combine a huge library of tools that we have into as small of a space as possible to work. So I'm really interested to see just how much you guys break this stuff and really get in the weeds with it. I as I've been working on the stuff, you can really stretch things into a lot of ways that you couldn't before. And I can't wait to see what minis you guys have and download them in, because let me tell you what, I commonly go through the Discord and pull links from your guys's front-facing minis that you have on there, just to try to figure out how you guys make them. I work on the tools that allow you guys to do what you do, and I still have no idea how things end up the way they do. It's ridiculous.
It's very true. It's very often we'll be in Slack and someone will be sharing like, hey, this is from the community and this is absolutely amazing. And speaking of the Discord, we do a bunch of sneak peeks, we do a bunch of kind of conversations in the Discord, ton of community sharing. So if you're not already in the Discord, what you can do is type !Discord in chat, join it there. And that's extra good because right now during the stream, as you interact with stream, you will be gaining channel points, and your channel points you can actually redeem to level up in the Discord. And the reason why that's great is because then it allows you to do things like post image perms, which you can't do when you're just brand new in there. We like to get you leveled up a little bit before we do that. So make sure you're in the Discord. But before you go anywhere, like I said before, we got a lot going on here. So let's move on and meet Nora, our art director. Nora, hello.
Hello. Good. I'm so happy to get to chat with everyone today. I've been so excited and anxious to do this for a while, because every time we're working on the Face Customizer, we're thinking about the users in the audience. So it's so great to touch base with them kind of one-on-one. So yeah, I'm the art director at Hero Forge. That means I'm art director for the content that we put out, as well as my role on Face Customizer was to help develop the look for that, the content we were putting into that in terms of the art assets, what we wanted to sort of accomplish with the Face Customizer upon initial launch, and then also think about content that we want to put out for Face Customizer as we go too. So it was super exciting to work with the sculptors that helped us develop that content for Face Customizer, get it working in that system, test that in the system, see what was working, what we want to push, and just be there through that process. So it's really been fantastic. We have a lot of 3D work that went into it, as well as some 2D work, some illustrative assets too. So great stuff. And in terms of most excited for Face Customizer, what part of it I'm most excited for, it just keeps going back to the users. Just like Maverick's saying too, the creativity of what the users bring to everything that we put out is multitudes more exciting than how excited you are when you put it out and can already think about how they're going to use it. So I would love to see the faces they come up with. I would love to see what they do, and continue watching as we go over time.
It's definitely, and that's something that you've talked about a lot throughout the process, is just everything that we're coming up with, and it has grown so much. It's really grown so much in scope, and it's been really fun to hear you talk, Nora, about like, this is where we're at, and this is how users are going to use it and change it, and anything that we're like, it'll probably stop here, people are going to figure out a way to go so far beyond that, which is really cool. And finally, Teagan, if you'd like to introduce yourself, say what you worked on with Face Customizer and what you're most excited about.
Hi, lovely to see y'all chat. It's lovely to be back on stream. It's been a little while. Some of y'all may know me from some of the Facebook groups and other posts I make. Thank you for joining us to check out what we're working on. I am wildly excited to show y'all this. It is a behemoth of a project, to say the least. But started off small like a lot of these projects, and then at some point we're like, wait a second, y'alls want everything. You want the world. And while we can never give the world all at once, we can at least put a foundation that lets us build in that direction. So can't wait to show you that. Thank you for your enthusiasm there, Anica. Really just like, I was like, wow, this Hero Forge thing sounds awesome.
You're like, I got a bounce from the stream. I just heard about this cool new website. Yeah, I gotta go. Well, before you go and start building minis on your own website, we have an incredibly excited audience here that really wants to see Face Customizer. We've had so many questions in chat already, and we're gonna get into demoing in just a second here, and I have some questions ready that I'd love to ask each and every one of you about. But for people in the chat, as you can see, chat is going by incredibly quickly. So if I happen to miss a question that you asked, feel free to ask it again. That being said, please do not spam repeatedly. If you are spamming one of our moderators, we have the incredible Smircury, we have the wonderful Six-Eyed Bear in chat right now. They will ask you to stop spamming. If you continue to spam, you will be timed out or banned. We have so much excitement going on right now, and we really want to make sure that we're able to answer everyone's questions without sort of getting caught in the weeds of stuff that may not be necessarily relevant. And speaking of relevancy, we love getting suggestions on what we can add to the site. We read your suggestions, we implement them. We genuinely love it so much. That being said, the purpose of this stream is to talk about Face Customizer and maybe something else at the end, but it is not necessarily a time where we can give any information on, oh, could you add XYZ to the website? That's not really what we're going for here. So if you're asking questions in chat about like, hey, can you add this thing to the website? We love it. We actually have a form on the website where you can put that in. It'll get answered so much quicker. So if you're asking that repeatedly, we're probably not going to get to it. Not really what we're going for here. What we are going for here is Face Customizer. Hello. So Teagan, everyone is simply losing it over what they're seeing on the right side of the screen right now. Do you want to walk through that?
Yeah, I want to dig in, I really do, but I feel first we need to talk a little bit about the history of Face Customizer, and I want to give a shout out to the team who worked on it. It is wild to imagine, and this is very much true, that the team who worked on Face Customizer worked on it for longer and was larger than the original Hero Forge. Like when we released the first Hero Forge, that was with a smaller team for less time than we have put into Face Customizer. That is how much technology is packed into this. And I think that's kind of wild. It's been such a huge lift. And once upon a time, many years ago, we said, miniatures are tiny. We don't really need to do a lot of different faces. And how far that attitude has changed now that we're creating screenshots, we're using characters for a million other reasons than miniatures. And the amount we're invested in those characters, we just want to see what's in our imagination appear also on their face. So that's so important. So it's grown a lot from the early days of the Kickstarter when it was just a little stretch goal. And our plans for it, and this is true, we did a mock-up implementation of Face Customizer that took less than a week to make. And it was very, very simple. It was just, here's a few different options. We're taking the original heads we have, let's swap them out. But the amount of technology on top of that, we're like, wait, how far can we push this? How amazing can we make this? How much control can we give you? Went so much further. than that original mock-up, because we want to, more than anything, we want to put in a fantastic foundation to build on. We want y'all to have the world one day, but to start with the world, you need a good starting place. So that's where we went. And then
incredible foundation. Yes, it's been wonderful to see it. I'm so excited for people to be able to see it in a second here.
But before I show off all that work, I need to give shout outs to the team. I want to give you a sense of just how much talent, how much incredible work has gone into Face Customizer. And I'm going to kind of scroll through our Sky Castle Studios website. Just
oh no, I
updated all of them.
For a second there, Teagan.
Oh, sorry. My apologies.
No,
I was just...
you are fine. It looks like we're having a little bit of a network connectivity error, which is fine. What I'm actually going to do, we've got you back. So if you want to keep talking through it, if we have any other connective issues, one thing I will note, similar to what you said before the stream started about the more inputs you have in webcams, the trickier it gets. So if we start having some connectivity issues, what I might do is just kind of pull all of our videos off the screen so that people can enjoy the face customizer without us slowing it down at all. So keep going. Let's meet the team.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. And there's a large number of Sky Castle Studio team members at this point. They're all wonderful. I'm going to shout out specifically the ones who had the most core involvement in face customizer, but it is a full team credit thing in that without all the additional support, it couldn't be done. Of course, Nora's already introduced herself, directing the art team. Fantastic. Big shout out to Adam Garman, who is the mastermind engineer behind the proprietary, like never before seen morphing tech that has allowed us to do stuff that I've never seen in a video game customizer before in a face customizer. And then let's see who else we've got. Big shout out to members of QA, Daryl included. Without QA, we have some internal QA. Without those efforts, we would not be able to put out such regular releases at such quality. My gosh, Maverick, also AKA Dustin Halsey. Well, thanks for introducing yourself earlier and your amazing usability work on the Face Customizer pads. The intuitiveness you have there for what it's like to interact with a product is fantastic. And then Booch for managing the art team and the outsourcing and the volume of content. There's so much new content that's coming out of Face Customizer. It's not just the technology. Amazing work. Christina, our in-house face sculptor, is just one of the best face sculptors in the world, one of the best sculptors in the world, and has contributed a number of faces. And then Laura, also QA, again, I want to acknowledge the amount of work that goes into testing, debugging, etc. And then Matt, one of our senior tech artists, just incredible in-depth deep dive into the Face Customizer pipeline, knows it inside out, and makes so much of it possible. And then Sean, our rigger TD technical artist, who is responsible for all the accoutrement on Face Customizer, the way things move to the face, conform to the face, getting stuff on a face that can morph that much, wildly difficult, incredibly technically challenging, and Sean has just been doing an absolutely amazing job of that. Nettle, decals and eyes, we've added new eyes, we'll be showing you them later. Incredibly, like they merge with Face Customizer beautifully and just add so many more options. And then Z Jones was the absolute expert level face topology technical modeler who knows expressions and face morphology inside and out. Absolute top of her game. I worked with Z all the way back at Naughty Dog, where I used to work on video games, and it was an absolute honor and pleasure to work with Z on this. Face Customizer's ambition and scope grew so much because of the expertise of having Z join the team there. And then also Will on QA again, and not on this list is Ramahan Folk, who is a facts expert, just an absolute expert at faces and also morphology, and is helping us get those expressions and fine-tune all those shapes. There's thousands and thousands of assets that go into making Face Customizer work. And then I want to give a shout out to the whole team in general, the admin team, the outsource team, the devs and the art team, including Nico and other artists who added pieces to the face customizer as well. This project is not possible with such a large team. And then a big shout out to Ryan on social media for keeping y'all entertained while we work really hard on this. We put stuff out when it's ready, and it can be really difficult to be patient for that. And we want to tell you when stuff's coming out and don't always get that right. And as a result, we're like, oh no, folks want this so badly and we're not quite done yet. And we never want to crunch the team or put out a bad product or an unfinished product. So that's why we're always so tight with deadlines. When folks are like, when is it coming out? And we don't tell you, it's not because we don't want you to know. It's not because it's keeping that information secret. It's because we don't know yet.
Yes.
We don't want to crunch the
absolutely.
team.
And you know, I'll say this is not necessarily something we've addressed before, but we, especially on the marketing team, we've seen how excited people are to see it, and I know that we were never really able to address it, and you're about to see something that is revolutionary, something that is mind-blowing, something that of all however many of you are in chat right now, I feel very confident to say that whatever you were expecting, this will go above and beyond your wildest expectations. So there was a delay, and we understand that, but oh, was it worth it? So thank you, Teagan, for making sure that we got to address all the people that were working on it. There are so many people that have worked on it, and everyone at Hero Forge is wonderful, and everyone on the art team has worked so hard, and on the dev team to make this happen. So would you like to start the demoing process, and then would you like to show off some pads so that we can have Maverick kind of talk about what that looks like, or would you like
Absolutely.
to start broad? Okay,
Absolutely.
cool.
Let's dig in a little bit, but first I just want to introduce you to our house Squishmallow. Wanted to keep your axolotl company.
I know, Malachite, you said you loved my Squishmallow as well, and you asked their name, and I haven't come up with a name yet. Do you have a name for yours, Teagan?
I just call this one Squishacorn. It belongs to one of the housemates and just shows up now and again, but I brought it up to hang out with us just to keep your axolotl company.
I love that. Okay, Hero Forge
Okay,
plushies when? Let's talk about this. Sorry, I'm like, no suggestions, and here I am breaking my own rule, but.
Alright, let's talk face customizer. Let's actually dig into the menus.
Yeah.
So y'all have already seen the screen for a little bit. You've probably already been speculating about how it works. This is the revamped face menu that has not just a bunch more faces. Whenever you see this little cog, that means it's a face customizer face that can be fully customized and mixed and matched with all the other faces on there too. So a lot of our faces have been moved over. Some of them are gonna be moved over later. Others are so unique they won't be part of the system, and others will get their own subset of face customizers. So a mix and match within them. But you're already seeing a bunch of new faces here for sure, and those work as you'd kind of expect, but when you start dialing it in, that's where things get more interesting. So let's go to edits. Before, you just had a softness slider, kind of just like more masculine or feminine features that are kind of harder edged or softness. Now we've got a whole little smorgasbord of different options that are fantastic. Probably the most powerful one, I think, is age. And
I was just gonna say, many people just lost it at the age slider. People, wow, yes, we will get into that, chat. Yes, wow.
Oh
okay.
my gosh.
Let's talk about it.
One of the most important things is being able to represent your character in how it comes across visually, and I think one of the most missing things is the age of your character. So, and I want to preface this one. This is actually one of the most work-in-progress parts of Face Customizer. We believe we can take this so much further and allow for a more younger spectrum, and then much older even. So work in progress, but I'm still very fond of the results and how just well they work, how it actually changes the whole morphology of the face, adds the wrinkles appropriately. But not only that slider works on any of those faces. So if I want to make any of those faces age, I can. So the mix and match possibilities there are extensive, and let's take a little shot of that. You can see that like the actual skin kind of like sags and ages as you move that slider up, and the deeper wrinkles kind of like blend in. You get little cracks on the lip, and we think we can take this to 11. Right now it's at like 9, and we're really excited to work on that final bit over these final last bits of development for it. So can't wait for the age slider. Also works with all the other slider. We'll show you this one. Carved slider was a little bit of a mastermind of Z Jones, who I introduced earlier. She was like, hey, I want us to be able to make stylized characters, but I want us to make any character stylized. So the carved slider essentially does that. It takes the forms and it kind of accentuates them as if it was carved out of a medium like stone or wood, and creates a bit more of a stylistic look. And this is kind of a stylistic preference that you might want to go for, or you might want to just add it just for a little bit of character, or you want to go all the way. And that can also be combined with age if you want to go real far. So we've got a very stylized, and we've got a very aged, and everything's so grooved and gnarled like a chiseled wood statue at this point. Which is
so we had someone in chat ask if we can remove the hat for a little bit more visibility.
Sure,
also,
yeah,
other people asking questions in chat, I'm writing them down, and I will bring them up when we have a moment to. Actually, I think I might be able to ask one of those right now. We had a question about does the age slider work on faces that don't have skin like skeleton and robot heads?
Interesting question, and we're looking into potentially integrating the skeleton into Face Customizer. That's so weird and unique. It's a little tricky, but we actually do have the robot head, I believe, unless we turned it off for now. There we go. So the answer is actually yes, which is kind of wild.
Oh no! I'm not sure how I feel with that.
It wasn't gonna be pretty.
Hey, chat, you asked for this. You've created a monster.
You wanted this. We'll add the carved on there too, and we're already getting into nightmare territory.
The subtitle on Face Customizer is just Face Customizer. Hey, y'all asked for this.
Absolutely. So let's put it back to a more regular face here.
We did also get a question, and maybe Nora, you might know the answer to this one because we talked about it before. What was kind of your experience with the biggest challenge in creating Face Customizer?
Yeah, I could jump to that a bit. I actually think the production of it, while we're all creating our elements of it that are all coming together and all sort of coming together at the same time and navigating what's working with what, and we have like a general roadmap for it. We have an idea of what we're all going for, but having that develop while sort of working together on it, and then also making adjustments as we go, like quality of life adjustments, just betterment. It's not like it was a bad challenge. It was a nice challenge. It was an exciting, very collaborative moment of us all together. So it was just like a very lively space, but we all had our thinking caps on, the biggest thinking caps we had, to make sure that we were addressing things in the way that we thought would like set the best foundation, be the smartest way to do it, get us the maximum out of it. So I love that personally. I thought that was so fun to be able to think for the best approach you can together. How do you do this? So that was probably the biggest challenge, but it was the challenge that we sort of wanted. It was the challenge we signed up for,
and that you succeeded at absolutely admirably. We did get a question a while ago just talking about the sliders, about what do upper length and lower length mean. Someone was asking about what does that
I'll
mean?
keep going on my little journey through the sliders.
Yes, I want to make sure that we're kind of tagging folks in, but yes, please
absolutely.
do.
No, please, you're asking the right questions, and they're exciting questions for sure. First, before I go too much further, I do want to preface this is heavily work in progress. I imagine we'll have some crashes during the stream and some things will not quite work, but we are in the very much buttoning up, fixing all the bugs stage. So Face Customizer is imminently on the way, but again, very work in progress. So let's move on to some other sliders. One interesting one is underbite. Now, Currently, if you select the orc teeth, you get an underbite. It's automatic. It's very simple. But this way, we just put it into a slider. We let you handle how much of an underbite you have. And while we're talking about it, we might as well talk about the new revamped teeth menu. A lot of these menus are revamped. We were just like, we've listened to y'all and what you want and the customizability you want. So now
also, Teagan, quickly, I will flag hundreds of messages about tongue as well. So while you're rooting around in the mouth, let's hit on that one too. Anyway,
yeah, we'll talk about it. Teeth being very much kind of revised. Let's see if I can find the orc teeth, or maybe just another set of teeth. So like, and you can actually have complete control over the teeth of where they go and how far they pop out and movement and such. So we've really revamped that one, which is exciting. I'm not sure if the underbite with the teeth is quite working the way we want yet. All work in progress, like I said. But turn that into a slider. All right, upper length and lower length are the first two big macro face changes. We hope to add more after launch, and that's something to preface all of this with. It is the best foot forward technological foundation we can put out. There'll be more later, but upper length just straight up changes that part of the face, and lower length straight up makes the face lower. So you can like change a really big impact, and you can also make it kind of scrunched up if you want.
I'm gonna throw in a quick question from chat. Oh, sorry, y'all. Oh gosh, I just lost it. About the orc teeth. Will orc teeth still always give an underbite, or can we have tusks without it? Just while we were talking about it.
The orc teeth now and the underbite are completely separated, and you can do whatever you like.
Cool.
So we give you that slider, and you're welcome to play with that all you like, and do whatever feels right. In the end here, we see all of the requests, and all of them boil down to more and more control. We want to keep things really easy to use. Yeah, we want to give you wild control if you really want to dig into it. So that's our new slider menu. We're hoping to add more. The next part I want to talk about just is like kind of the philosophy of Face Customizer. I have this experience using a lot of video games where I'll be making a face, I'm making my character's face, and and every change I make makes it look worse and worse. And that is not an experience we wanted people to have as a sort of a first step. You can make it look terrible. You make an old robot with strange alien features, whatever you want. But we wanted the accessibility of Face Customizer to really be there. So if you're going to these menus, and this is where things get kind of interesting, you're picking specific features, and we're mixing and matching features of different heads. So just for a big first example, you'll see that the alien head forehead is there. You can have any character can have a huge brain if you like, or other unusual features, or slightly different shaped brows, and so on. You can mix and match different brows as well if you want to kind of get subtle there. Really dial in your character in that sense. Similarly for eyes, I think I'm going to start with the alien one again just because it's so interesting just to see like these big changes.
This was the first thing I ever did. This was the first thing I clicked on Face Customizer when you were like, go play around in it. And I was like, I scared myself. I was like, oh no. Oh no.
No.
Again,
like,
y'all asked
we
for
allow
this.
for some horrible things, and like so far as to say that you can select the robot features here if you want, and now we're talking eyeballs just floating in sockets. Sorry, I'm already getting into face horror. We needed some like trigger warnings for this.
I know, a little bit of body horror on this one, folks.
But there's like basically all those heads you saw to begin with have now kind of mix and match options that you can select, and you can get really nice results that add a lot of character and add a lot of nuance, and they can be subtle or interesting, and so on. I think one of my favorite menus is the nose menu, just because it has some of the biggest variety, and you can get kind of, that's how much of a change it can be. You can add a zombie nose to any kind of character there, or we're talking about alien nose here.
Actually, speaking of
can I
noses,
mention too that
yeah.
please.
Sorry. Just that amount slider of showing, like the one that's right below too, of how cool it is to show amount. Sorry, I'm too excited, but
I know.
I
No.
Like the time. I'm like, no, it's like there's more, and you're completely right. There is more.
Also, Nora, let's talk about. I was actually going to ask you. We've had someone ask a few times in chat. Can you create characters with no nose? Not the like missing one, but just a completely smooth.
Yeah,
nose
let me
with face
see.
customization.
So we've got the robot nose, which is mostly missing. We're working on a few normal map blending options. I believe there's also the complete missing nose here somewhere. We've got the alien nose, which is missing.
yeah, I think it's in the works. It was.
I think it's disabled currently, but that is in the works. We want that to like those just remove a feature entirely to be an option.
Okay. And chat, I'm writing down all of your questions, and we are getting to them as quickly as possible.
I love the animal noses too. I think that's so fantastic. Like, and to Nora's point, let's talk about the amount slider just because it's there. Everyone's like, what is that? What's that?
Please
that?
do. But this is, at this point, it's just a chaos free form, what people want in chat, what seems exciting to y'all. Live your truth. We're having fun.
So, like, let's find a particularly interesting nose. Sure, this gorilla one. And the amount slider basically lets you take this feature that you've just added that could be wild and too much for you, and you might want to make it subtler, and say, I want less of it. You can go between the feature you selected and the original face that you chose, which is wildly fun. And then if you really want to dial it in further, you can expand that further and do just the shape or just the detail. So if you can see this, now it's just the shape of that nose, but the original detail of the original, or we're adding the detail back in and vice versa. And that adds just so much fine-tuned control over the subtlety of these features that you've changed, that you've added, that you might be like, you know what, this has gone too far. I want elements of that and not elements of another. Let's maybe use this one. This is a fun one too. So this is just the shape is the original, but the detail is with the alien, or vice versa.
I got another super quick question, just a real fast one. Do piercings work on all noses?
Yes. Though when it comes to some of the flat ones, you might get some undefined results.
Just because you, in the words of Jurassic Park, just because you can, doesn't mean you should, you know? So, again, up to y'all. I got another quick question. I know this is something that we discussed previously, and Nora, I don't know if you want to take this one again, but two things. Will the ears be posable? And then this is in a different direction, but will we see anything along the lines in the future like anime eyes?
Ooh, great question.
Oh my gosh.
Go for it, Nora.
Can't wait to answer these. Ears are posable coming up, and it's going to be great. So scaling as well. There's more to show with the ears too, so we'll get to that because we've increased the options there in a way. But yeah, posing is definitely there. And then anime eyes is definitely something we've talked about internally before. We've got our sort of MVP release going on right now, which is our first intro, but it's definitely something we want to look at because how cool would that be?
And so, Teagan, we had a question about mouths, and Kismet, you're there right now. So do you want to show off what the mouth edits are? And also we did have someone in chat asking about the difference between big edits and small edits. So this might be a good space to talk about that.
Oh yeah, we are going to dig in there for sure. I'm starting with just the features, and then we're gonna dial into a point that you're hardly gonna be able to believe it. So.
Actually,
yep.
Real quickly, we do have a question from someone in chat. Can we remove the scar decals just so that we can see the changes a little bit better? I think that's a wonderful question. Thank you, Foolish Fool.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
And I will actually. I'm gonna put the hat back on that I had on. I'll put it back on at some point because how everything morphs around the face is really cool and really important. So I'll show that later. We'll show that off just because the interactions here are one of the things that makes Face Customizer the hardest.
Oh my gosh. The mask on the ears, and when you move the ears, the everything. Folks, I forgot about that. I'm so excited. Okay. There's so much.
But mouths, let's check it out. So there's a whole bunch of different mouth options as you'd expect, and they are there's extensive to say the least, including let's add the zombie mouth as you'd expect, Even the robot ones there, this is where things get like a little crazy, where you're like, oh wow, okay, that shouldn't work. But don't like that. So you can really get, yeah. But you can find a lot of character, and it's so fun to play with and see kind of what these mix and match combinations work with, including like the cheeks as well. Again, like mix and matching stuff that's just sort of off the beaten path can be really, really fun, and adds just a lot of character. Subtle things like dimples can make the difference between it being your character and not, I think, a lot of the time. So yeah, hugely pleased to be able to give you this kind of level of control down to the chin, and the shape of the chin.
And we did get a question quickly in chat. Is this applicable to dragon faces as well?
Yeah, I talked a little earlier about anything with a cog you see being part of the customizer system, so you can mix and match all these pieces. But unfortunately, dragons are not part of the customizer. We hope to bring some of them into it one day, potentially make a dragon-specific customizer. We're experimenting with it. That's very R&D. One step at a time. We're getting kind of the base human set working first. But I've already teased enough around these new features that I'm going to start digging up if Maverick wants to start talking about what it means to make these changes.
Yeah, sure. So basically, once you've reached this point, after you've gone through all the major edits, or putting on the main features that you want on the site, we then allow you to have our additional controls on top of that to really get into the nitty gritty, and basically morph individual regions themselves. So what Teagan's doing right now on screen, he's working on our 3D interactable pads for the sites themselves. So basically everything for the controls that we have for big edits and small edits for controlling individual zones can be manipulated either with the sliders on the side, or what Teagan's dragging right now is basically just going into the character, hovering over areas that they want, and dragging the character around to create the sculpts and whatnot. So all this is just done with simple mouse drags and everything, super easy to use. It's all tied in the sliders as well. Because at this point, we really open up the face customizer to allow you to use just an incredible amount of different options for the sliders. So we integrated it into the 3D space to allow that to be just a lot easier to use and whatnot. You'll see us hopping between like the UI as well to get you to different regions. We still need some work done to really make it more interactive, so it puts you exactly where you need to, but it gets pretty close right now. But yeah, so we can use these. We have big edits, which are really pulling just like the large areas and whatnot, and then the small edits let you go into really small itty bitty regions like Teagan's doing right now, messing with the nose, any of the regions that highlights to get just a lot of the small changes that you need to really get the face where you want to. But yeah, we got also as well with this too. If you see at the top, we have a linked sides button for this. So now we have asymmetry controls for the face too. So you can drag individual sides and whatnot and modify them as well too. Cheeks and jaw work real well too. If you want to stretch any of those for it. But yeah, so this lets you really dial in. There's a huge amount of sliders between both big and small edits. That's really why we had to go with this approach of having pads in our scene. So that way you can actually really use all these controls. I think there's something, it's like 150 sliders or something like that, if I recall looking through the code or something. It's a lot. Also as well too, because there are so many sliders, we can't actually even fit it all into just one controls right here. Teagan, if you look at the bottom down there, we have our little options for the controls down there. Right now we're just in translate for the controls. We're going to skip over rotate since we're going to get rid of that, or over to scale. This allows you to interact with the face the same way as you were with the translates, but actually start to really drag and morph things out. I know, like the nose, the cheeks, for instance, you could really just swell those things up, and yeah, add a lot to the face.
Maverick, how challenging was it to put all of this together? Because having the sliders or having the pads that you can click and drag is wonderful because it's so dynamic. But was that kind of a new challenge based on your previous experience at Hero Forge? What was that like?
Oh yeah, this was a fun experience. So this was a big learning project for me, honestly. We're digging into just a lot of stuff for just interactions in the physical space, computer graphics, having shaders for basically putting the mask on the face and whatnot. For instance, one thing to show too, Teagan, if you want to go and swap the primary face at all around, these controls translate between all the heads that we actually have. So any of the features that you're editing right now, alien heads is a great example to throw this on too, actually, right now. And then if we go back to the big and small edits as well, all these controls transfer over. They work across all of our faces and whatnot. And so really getting these systems to work across all the faces that we want to incorporate is really the big challenge of this project, honestly. Making sure that, again, when we have about 150 sliders, making sure all those interactions work together is a big task. But
yeah, and you have clearly done it incredibly. This looks awesome. We have someone asking in chat, and this may be a Teagan or a Nora question, but people are asking, can you import face poses?
Yes, I added that to the advanced import menu, so you can take any character's face and import the expression. Oh, actually, I think Adam and I added it. You can add the expression, or you can add the morphology from a face, and those are actually very separate. We've actually only been editing the kind of the base morphology of the shape so far, but under pose, we've got the ability, essentially, when you really dial it in, we've given you control over every muscle in the face. So you can take any muscle in the face and pull it into any expression you want. Should we jump to face poses now, I think?
I think that would be great. I have one person asking about eyebrows, but before we do that, Maverick, did you have anything else about the pads in particular that you're particularly proud of, or you want people to be aware of going into it?
Not specifically. I mean, it's just kind of a lot of little things everywhere. I think it's just honestly such a nice, refreshing way to be able to interact with the site now. Previously on Hero Forge, we really haven't had a whole lot of ways to interact physically with the mini itself. Everything's through sliders on the side, which works great. It gets the job done. But when we start to get into these really complex projects that have a lot of moving pieces, it can become kind of complicated on how to actually start and find what you want to edit. So the idea for everything we did here, by having the pads and the selectable, we really allowed it to be far more discoverable in a natural way. So now instead of having to basically dig in and find the regions yourself, you can just basically go in now, hover over the areas you want to edit, and you'll be able to see the controls right then and there for how they work for you. So
I always laugh about how playing video games taught me what your filtrum is, which is like this little part right here, because you go to a game and it's like, do you want to increase your filtrum length? And I'm like, I don't know where that is. So being able to have something that you just click and drag and you're like, I don't need to know the name of it, I just need to know how to move it, is incredibly helpful for those people, our users like me who have decision paralysis, where you're just like, I don't know the sliders, but if I just click, okay, I can figure that out. So
I learned a lot about face names working on this project.
I bet you did. Yeah, so we have some questions. God, we have so many questions in chat about eyebrows, but a lot of questions about poses as well. And I know we also want to talk about ear movement and stuff. So
yeah, I'm going through the core, so we'll talk about poses, and then we'll get into all the accessories, and those are extensive. We've revamped eyebrows, beards, ears, really everything that's on the face. We've been like, well, we need to refresh that because it needs to work with this new system. So we'll get there. Cool. I want to talk a little bit about upgrading systems. So old faces will have to be upgraded to the new system because there's a whole new sort of art set. There's a whole new set of expressions, and the way it'll be done is similar to how we've done some of the other updates, where you have to click an upgrade button and it'll upgrade to the new face. We'll try to keep as much intact as we possibly can. Some things won't be intact. Hopefully that's very understandable, but what you get in exchange for that upgrade is this smorgasbord of options, which I hope is worth the price of admission. So talking about face posing specifically, we've, as you might have expected, revamped that menu too. So here you'll see, and we're going to expand this a lot, this is just the default set of expressions where you can pick an expression and it'll instantly get there. So we want it to be very quick, very easy. Hero Forge is all about how fast can you make a character by default. And then it's all about how crazy can you get if you want to dial it in. So this is the basic expression menu, and then from there we can dial in any one piece of it. And similar to the previous menu that we were looking at, we can take like the cheeks and puff them out if you need to, or take the I guess there's a muscle there too. There's a lot of muscles in the face that you learn about under these circumstances. So we're not changing the morphology here, we're changing the muscles that are pulling these parts of the face around, and it's wonderful to to be able to see the expressiveness change.
Grab the sides of the jaw and then grab the corners of the mouth.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. For sure. And of course you can do that all with.
Can we close the eyes?
Oh yeah. So let me do this.
Also, we did get a quick question. Will pro users still be able to adjust numerically? Because I know currently that is a pro only thing. Is that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I believe we have numerical sliders there. There we go.
Okay,
yes.
Cool.
That's just that's just a feature. A lot of these features is like someone being really excited about that existing, being like, I would love this so much, I really need it, and like either myself or one of the other devs being like, yeah, that would be useful. So like numerical input for sliders, for example, is me like on a Friday night being like, I have like half an hour to spare, and so I this has been on my like radar because folks have been really passionate about it. Yes, I'll implement it. So like we really listen to y'all, we really appreciate it, and we love your ideas, so thank you for that enthusiasm. Yeah, so that's the expression menu, and you can see the sort of parts of the face have to adapt to that, and also even they'll adapt to the head as well. I'll show you that even. We'll put our aviator one on again because I like that one so much. Oop, wow, that went wrong. And that's why it's still a work in progress.
This is something that we're aware of, is that we're still working on stuff, and as always, we love a good bug report. So if you run into anything like this, we're working on it.
Well, we haven't put it out yet. We've got a little bit left, and that's why it's not out yet, because we are refining all of these things.
People are asking about having the eyes fully closed.
Yeah, I believe that is in pose.
Yeah, pose. You can drag the upper and lower eyelids however you need. Sure, we'll get the sliders and pads.
So there we go. I know that a lot of folks have had to fake eyes being closed and such, but now we've got full eyelid control as well, which is excellent.
Wow, people are really excited about that. People are very excited about being able to close the eyes entirely. Woo! Yes, folks! Folks, we are going to be able to do that.
All y'all's dreams trying to come true. Like we share that enthusiasm for options for sure. Let's talk about more of those. Let's get a little past face customizer, I think, to all the accoutrement and the rippling effects of it. We can dig into face customizer a little more later. Let's talk about, let's do some ears maybe. We now have ears both upper and lower, so you can add 2 sets of ears just in case you want to put some on the top of the head. And it's the same set as the animal customizer. So we did the mounts and familiars customizer, and it had a little bit more of an expanded set, and they had more control. So now you have control over them. Let's find the rabbit ears. Let me see. Should be rabbit somewhere. And as a result, you get the advanced posing for them, which is very exciting, and the ability to like edit any ear you like in any way you like, and you can do all sorts of things like add droopiness to them, add personality, add that character, which is fantastic. So new revamped ear system, very fond of. Oh, and I should show y'all, let's remove the hair. I should show y'all what it means to have something on the face, because it's so cool. Like, it's funny how many like rippling effects there are and how cool they ended up being. So
we got a quick question in chat. Can the non-human faces use the new posing system? That is something that we are working on, that we talked about earlier. We have some new face customizer specific faces that we are able to change. CU is asking that as well. The dragon face question keeps coming up, and yes, we did answer that previously, but for people that are joining a little bit late, we are working towards that. That is something that
to elaborate a little further there, the the faces that don't work in the custom system still get all of these upgrades. So
Thank you. Okay.
dragons and such get all of the new ears, the new face options. They're sort of all using the face customizer tech behind the scenes, even if they're not part of the ecosystem in the same way. So let me just show you kind of how cool this ends up. Oh, okay, wow. Shouldn't have said it was
No,
cool
it's
before I
honestly
clicked
working. Hold on, I'm actually down with this. That's not a bug.
This
That
is
is a
how you
feature.
wear a COVID mask, right? It's a on the eyes situation, right? Oh my gosh.
We also got a question in chat. Will face posing be a separate import option in the community tab? I don't believe we have a plan to do that at this time, but that is very helpful feedback to get if that's something that folks would like to see happen.
Here's what I wanted to show. So like we've really tried to conform everything to the face really, really well when it works, when we don't have bugs, and your ability to say move around an ear and have a mask follow that is gives you a lot of control over those kinds of things that we're really excited about.
That is so impressive. I believe it was Sean that showed that off originally during our meeting, and that's the type of thing that if you're unfamiliar with how this works, you might be like, oh yeah, that doesn't seem too hard to do. It is very hard. The one thing I know about Face Customizer is that the things that look simple are usually the most difficult.
Yeah, in this case, we're taking just about anything that could sit on top of the face and having it work on top of all of this crazy morphology. It's a lot. That's for sure. Let's look at some other head options after removing this mask.
Oh, we have someone asking what happens if you have the mask but no side ears. Good question,
Oh yeah, I think it just defaults to the original place.
Okay.
Not too exciting. Unfortunately, we haven't accounted for wearing a mask without ears. That's a hard way to wear a mask.
Yeah, that's on our list. It's just, it's a little bit. We'll get there.
Uh-oh, I wonder if the server just went down. Maybe not.
Oh no! Now we get to
We'll
find out
find
the
out.
mystery of which mustache is going to be which.
Okay, good. That still
Okay.
works. So we unfortunately broken links. Not sure why. Maybe a server with a test hiccup server. But we now have the mustache separated into upper and lower, so you can separate these two, which is really nice. Just another kind of quality of life. Feels right. Feels like a good separation of the two. And we've added a few more options there as well. And similarly, brows are now separated into left and right, so you can have them be separate and different. And we've added a whole bunch of new options as well, which I think just adds so much character to your character. It's wild. Originally we were like, okay, don't need many brows because it's just a miniature print, but given just how many targets Hero Forge has, so many options you have, now we need to flesh these out. And also, just like I said before, this is just the foundation. We were like, okay, what does it mean to flesh that out a little bit? Oh great, okay, we know it's going to work well enough that we can add a bunch more options into the future. I should mention the tongue menu. It was asked about earlier.
And it's been asked about quite a lot. People are very excited about it.
Currently, unfortunately, I don't want to disappoint anyone. It is a work in progress, and we don't know if we're going to put it out. I don't think we're going to put it out for MVP initially, but it is going to come hot on the heels of the full release. Am I correct on that, Nora?
Yeah, that sounds right. And we want time to sort of do that right, place it right, and then what that sort of means for other tongues and what that means, can we get some extra tongues in there too? So we want to do it, but we want to do it right. We want to make sure it doesn't create any bugs. And yeah, so thanks for everyone for the patience on that.
Sorry
Old Pro
to
Gaming in chat, I
tease.
see that you're asking, will there be a beta for Face Customizer? Nope, this is coming out for everyone.
Yup. Let's talk about some more of the accoutrement.
Could I mention one beard thing that was
course,
exciting for
please
me while we
do.
were messing with it earlier a couple days ago? Those bigger, heavier beards that we have too, and how well that and everything works with when you do posing or face changes. Everything is listening to this whole new system. So as you make these small edits, as you blow the cheeks out, you swing the jaw, you shrink the head, everything's responding to it really beautifully. So yeah, we really hope that everyone loves how this is all working together and has fun with it. I just think it's so cool that it all just plays together so beautifully.
It's
throw on
so
a big
funny.
helmet.
It's
Oh, a
really
helmet?
funny, Nora, whenever you're like, it's so beautiful, I'm excited to see what people create, and then I look over and Teagan has created the most horrifying mini I could imagine, and I'm like, getting mixed messages here right now.
Yeah, I want to see what the users can create, the beauty that they can create. We're going to create a few monsters here on the stream.
I have a question that I'd love to hear from everyone, and then we can kind of get into more of the details. Is what was a really unexpected hurdle that you kind of either personally or felt like the team ran into, and what workaround did you come up with? So whoever wants to start, whoever has an answer ready, I'd love to hear about that. Everyone muted.
Jump in real quick, I guess.
Go ahead, Maverick. Go for it.
It all went perfectly according to plan, and nothing went wrong.
Not it.
Everyone's like, how much do I divulge? Hold on.
So some of the fun, unexpected stuff to run into on the site has been just working with tech that has basically been a snapshot in time and has been modified or aged since. For instance, like one of our fun things to work on the site, Hero Forge actually runs off of GLSO1 in the background for the computer graphics side of things, which is actually a very old version of it, which is missing a lot of features. One of the things, like for instance, that we don't actually run on the site is we don't even have a depth buffer that we play with to know the distance of anything on the site. So we have a lot of just clever, fun workarounds built into our site at this point to let us work around this. Like for instance, when I was working on pads, I need to be able to figure out where stuff is actually saved on the pads, or where the mouse is basically in relation to the face. So we're basically in the background, we have our own buffer dedicated to drawing the face, where it's a completely gibberish face aside from just storing like the color data and then the information on exactly what piece of the face you're on that gets sent back when you hover over it. So we have just these wild workarounds that we have to do in some cases for it, but that's been a fun journey, figuring out, knowing there's an easy solution, and being like, oh, we gotta do this differently. It's great.
Yeah, Maverick's completely right there. Getting what I think is one of the most powerful face customizers ever made in video games to work on essentially a 5-year-old phone in a browser is a technical hurdle of a magnitude that is like, I cannot believe how much advanced tech has been able to be packed into this running in such an old ecosystem. It is not able to use the latest and greatest because it needs to work in the browser. So yeah, we've been on a journey, and I'm wildly proud of the technical shops of Maverick and Adam and the rest of the dev team to get this working the way it does.
Yeah, and it's great for you guys because the older our versions stay, the more devices everything just stays compatible with across the board. We have to work around the issues so you guys don't have to.
One question I do have, and then Nora, I'd love to have your answer to this as well, but is there a difference? What do you have to factor in when you have to think about printability? Is that a factor that you maybe, especially for you, Teagan, having done like this sort of sculpting before, is that an extra factor that complicated things, or I'm curious about how the physical part of it was factored in.
I can speak to that a little bit. It's definitely factored in, and it's interesting. We're sort of answering for both spaces. We know we have this very close-up digital space where you really want the best result you can get close up. There are some details there that may not show up in print. How do you find this really nice balance of, we need these forms and these shapes to be available to read well, even with the lighting too. You sort of want that to bounce and show form and show depth in what you're creating with sculpts, knowing that users might still go in and make things more subtle too, so you don't have full control on that. But it really is a case of trying to make it as great as you can, I think, for both environments. I love the ears adjusting for the hats. You want to think in a miniature way. Yeah, you just want to think in terms of, we're still making miniatures that print out, but then also people are going to go in and also sign their miniatures up close too, and make that face as best they can in that realm too. We want to offer both.
And to my original question, Nora, what was one of the surprise challenges that you felt like you ran into, and what sort of workaround did you have to come up with?
Well, at least earlier, it was sort of we're doing a lot of complex things at once, and we sort of were testing. We're trying to figure out, is this a bug? Is this something we can work around? And sort of going through that together and navigating it. I think it was trying, at least on the art side, trying to make sure that the features that were coming in had some strength to them, had some variation, making sure that was reading on the site. What do we need to push and pull to amplify that a little bit more? How can we add new content in the future, to making those decisions, as well as like what is important for our first initial release, what lays a good groundwork, what are the expectations of the audience to be able to do upon launch, and then what is the next steps as we go out of what would be really exciting to put out after this that might not have been like has to be in for initial launch, so we can get it out, so we can get it into hands and people can start having fun with it. And then we will do releases after this where we get this new stuff in. So sort of making those calls and doing it while you're getting the features in together was one of those balancing acts that at least I very much enjoy working through together with the group.
Yeah, and I know that's something that we mentioned earlier in the stream, but it bears repeating, that we have all of these really cool options right now, and we are not just releasing Face Customizer and being like, well, our duty's done. Like, we will continue to add to it. It's something that's going to be, I mean, we release new features every week. Of course we're going to continue perfecting stuff. That's because we love y'all, and we're going to make sure that we're constantly able to make stuff even better for you.
It's so deeply in our nature, it would just be a complete curveball if we put something out and where there was room to expand, we didn't expand it. It's so much in absolutely how we set this up and how everyone was thinking about giving us ourselves and everyone the best foundation we possibly could going forward. And then just knowing that we can always support this, add more rad stuff. It's a really exciting way to set things up. It kind of does both things. It gets it to users as quickly as we can with that first launch of content, and then lets us support it as we go.
Yeah.
And we love those user requests, so send those in too. We might already be thinking what you're thinking of what you'd like to see as well, but send it in anyway.
Yes, oftentimes when we get requests, I look at them and I'm like, haha, we might be working on that already. Cannot confirm or deny, but I see Teagan probably saw the questions in chat about this. Let's talk pupils and eye color. People are stoked about that.
Yeah, this was an opportunity for us to really step back and say, what's missing from faces? What do we need to flesh out further? And pupils and shapes was just one of the other ways that we could expand outwards. So this will be coming out with the face customizer option. Some really wild ones. Trigger warning for those with tryptophobia, I suppose. But like, yeah, really just fleshed that out. Some beautiful, beautiful work by Nettle here. And then I wanted to answer that question as well. What was kind of unexpected and what was the challenge? And I think what it was for us when we put this as a stretch goal for the Kickstarter, we were like, okay, Hero Forge should have a face customizer. There should be options for it. We were not expecting to sit down and say, you know what? Hero Forge needs to make an industry-leading face customizer. Hero Forge needs to break ground and do something that's never before seen. We weren't expecting to have to invent technology for this one, and to say that to do all that morphology with all those animal parts, with all of the different getting all that to work in unison, I think I've never seen something that powerful before. There's a lot of amazing face customizers out there before, but I haven't seen many that let you mix and match to such an extreme degree that we do. So I'm really, really proud of that. We didn't originally set out to be kind of sort of bar setting for this, but I'm so psyched at where we got to, for sure.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, y'all, I'm just gonna direct everyone in chat back to what I said at the start of stream, where whatever you think you're in for, clearly, I believe every single one of you is like, this is so much more in so many ways that I did not expect. I do want to flag really quickly that we are getting down kind of to the end of our time. So if any of our lovely guests have any other things that you really want to highlight, Teagan, it looks like you have something ready to go here, but I just wanted to do a time check and let you know that we have about 10 minutes left or so.
Perfect. A little later, I'm going to do a very, very small sneak peek of Kitbashing. But before I do that, I want to talk about our release schedules in general. and how we operate in the company, and how we try to be as fair and as nice a place to work as possible for the incredible talented folks who are making parts of Hero Forge, and why that can be a little frustrating from the outside, where you're like, when is this coming? And our answer is like, shrug. It's not shrugged. We care deeply about where it's coming. We're working so hard on it. We're adding so many features, and we cannot wait to get them out. But we also need them to be finished and polished, and to not create unfortunate work circumstances for the team. So our cadence, and just to kind of, I suppose, shed some light on what we do a big code update for the site every month. So every month we release a big code update, and with that code update comes like the foundations for features to then get released when they come out on Tuesdays, or usually these days when it's a big feature and not just new content, it's going to come out on a day other than Tuesday. So Face Customizer, for example, I believe is coming out on a day other than Tuesday, because it's not a pro first thing. It's just that everybody gets it. It's just so monumentally a big change to the site that we have to do it that way. So every month we do that big code release, and we work on that cadence, but we don't know what's going to be completely ready for that code release. And until it's completely ready, we don't put it into that code release. So Face Customizer is really close, but has a lot of complexity to it, so much complexity to it. Like I said, more complexity than the entirety of the first release of Hero Forge. So we're going to be working on all those bugs. We're furiously working on them right now. And when it's polished, it'll go into that cadence. And it won't get out immediately. It'll go into the next month's push live, and it'll get scheduled. And then social media team needs to respond to that. Then the sort of the length of that pipeline from conception to release is so extensive, involves so many people. I hope describing the team who worked on this really helped you get a sense for like how much work there is involved here, and how much we want to do, create the right thing and the best thing for y'all to express yourselves with, because we are creating a foundational system that y'all will be making characters in for many years to come, and we need that to be so right. So thank you for your patience. We're going to make this without stressing the team. We're going to get it out when it's ready. It'll be fantastic. We care deeply about how cool this is, and I appreciate the understanding, and I appreciate the evangelism for that when folks are like, why is this not out yet? And someone else responds in text, wouldn't it be nice if it was out and bug free and out without stressing the team? And I'm like, yes, that is exactly what we're doing. So thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. And we appreciate how many people, the general sentiment, because so many of our wonderful users in chat, like all of y'all, are very understanding. And I think being able to show everyone this is what we're doing. It's gonna take a little bit more time, but look at it. I think has been incredibly helpful. Maverick and Nora, did you have anything you wanted to add, just as kind of our final words, our wrap up, maybe before we tease a little kitbashing?
I think I'm pretty good. You guys did a wonderful job covering everything as it is. The biggest thing I want to emphasize is always, again, this is a project that has been the culmination of honestly a massive team size for this entire thing. The stuff I've worked on for the pads and stuff is built upon the backs of giants and everything. I have to give just a huge shout out to Z Jones and Adam for the amazing work that they've done on the tech side of things. What you see would not be possible if it wasn't for them being able to really push the tech as far as it's gone. That's it for me.
Yeah, I'd love to wrap up to say, just like Maverick was saying, in particular, when I was working very closely with Z Jones about the vision for this and the tech and the blending of all that, it was very inspirational, aspirational, it was exciting, and just those discussions where it's like, oh, let's do this, let's start, growing this thing out, and let's see how far we can go with it. So proud to work with folks of that caliber that are really trying to make the best thing that we can together and collaborating together. It was a beautiful experience working together. So I thought that was really wonderful to not only be putting our full efforts into this for our audience, but that we were just doing it together in this really respectful, collaborative way. just an ideal working situation there. So yes, I echo the thank you everyone for all that patience. We've seen it, and that support. Thank you so much, and just know that we're putting all that hard work in for all y'all.
I just like the kind of last words on Face Customizer. When we did it as a stretch goal, the vision was so small and minimal. It was just kind of like a basic set, and it really turned into something that could and probably should have been its own Kickstarter, in that the amount of tech and time and effort that's gone into it, and I hope it shows, is such that it is that large a project. But here we are. We're in the final runway for it, and we cannot wait to see what you make with it. Like really, like I am at 8 a.m. Like I am hitting refresh, waiting for the release to drop and for folks to start posting content on the release. Like yesterday with the Fool's Gold, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see this one. I'm there with everybody else waiting for the drop, because it's a joy to see community creations on this one. It's a joy to see the creativity, and like, we don't know what you're gonna make with Face Customizer. All we know is it's gonna be beautiful and wild, and it's gonna make us really, really pleased to have created these tools. So final words on Face Customizer from me.
And again, folks, if you want to see the cool stuff that people are making and sort of share in the community sentiment, ! Discord in chat will bring up the link to join our Discord. We have around 13,000 wonderful forgers in there who are always down to share their community resources, to give feedback. We hang out, we have fun. Sometimes we have sneak peeks of stuff, so like, if you want to know what's coming, get in there now. So Teagan, do you want to show off Kitbashing quickly? And
last little sneak peek.
Wrap it up.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I want to talk about Kitbashing from like a kind of a why it's so difficult standpoint. There's so much rippling effect of these things. It's difficult to understand at first. And the one of the base things that we need to get in place first for Kitbashing is a new pricing model. Because in Kitbashing you can scale and add a million different things, and as a result we need a pricing model based on the size of the miniature, and not sort of like you've added an XL sword. So we are currently revamping that. We think it's going to make a lot more sense and be a lot kind of simpler to understand. Larger mini, it's going to be a little bit more expensive because it just takes longer to print, more materials to print, etc. So we're revamping that. Look out for that pricing change. We think it's going to be a good thing. And then we can get Kitbashing out and all of its madness. It's a lot. There's a lot of power we're adding to it. The first thing being, you can take this character and all of its joints and really kind of move anything around that you might not have been able to move around before, including legs. So that is important and powerful, and it's going to allow for just some sort of wild things. Oh, I already ran into a bug. Very stuck on that one. Let's see if I can get
folks, this is very early. Do we know how volume pricing, how's that going to affect STLs? We did get a quick question about that. Will it impact?
It is not going to affect STLs.
Cool. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
You're printing those, so we'll leave that to you and your printer costs.
That's what I figured. I just wanted to confirm before I asked.
Yeah, that's fair. A big shout out to Luke, who is currently spearheading Kitbashing, but it's also been worked on by other developers, including Maverick in Stream, and Finn as well. But the ability to change any of those joints, and then the ability to add just about anything. And I see how much folks do with tails. Tails are just this like kind of multi-tool where you can put them in all these different places. So one thing we really wanted you to be able to do is take one of those tails and add it anywhere that you can imagine. So so we've added the crocodile tail, and now you can pose that tail. And I'm so sorry, it looks like we are bugging out more than I was anticipating for this one. Let's try one more time. I tested this morning, and it worked just well enough that I thought I could do it, but it looks like we introduced a bug. It's heavily work in development. It's being developed every single day, so it's going to ebb and flow in terms of how usable it is in that sense. But the idea is you'd be able to move that tail, pose the whole tail, put it anywhere you like, but do the same with any part of Hero Forge. So like if say if I wanted to add a gun to the top of this miniature's backpack, for example, I could do that if it was working and not sticking on the controls there. So my apologies. But
people are very understanding. People are wondering, will kitbashing affect neck thickness? Surprising number of questions about neck girth.
That's an interesting one. I believe you might be able to affect it a little using kitbashing. We have that on our radar as something we want to put on a slider. It is a delicate topic because of printability. That what probably will do is it'll give you control over that, so you can make as thin a neck as you like. And then when you go to print it, we might have to thicken that neck up a little bit. It won't matter in miniature form. It'll just mean that your miniature's head doesn't fall off. But let me see if I can just.
Very important feature. Just
yeah.
saying.
Let me just see if I can reset. Let's do a little reset so we don't have this mini that might have been a little balked on.
To clarify a little bit more on that as well too, is you should be able to change a lot of the thicknesses of most things on the site once we get through kitbashing, because this is going to allow a lot of just translate and as well as scale controls for a lot of the bones on the site, like Teagan's adjusting right now. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of potential to scale things up in very unnatural ways as needed too. In fact, you might be able to even do the neck right now if it's hooked up to one of the correct bones.
Let's see.
It may not be the prettiest outcomes right now, but with the tools that are going to be available, there should be a lot of options to, if we don't provide the tool by itself, you should have the means with kitbashing to be able to make thicker, thinner necks if you need to.
And one thing I would love to oh my god. Something I would like to ask, I'm pushing through, is we've gotten a ton of questions, and I know we've gotten to questions about this before, about having fat body representation. Is that something, I know we've talked before about how figuring out how to layer clothing changes a little bit with overall body size. Is that something that's going to be included in kitbashing?
It's certainly going to give you more tools to create better representation there. But it is a hard, it's really up to you, because we all give you those joints and sliders around the body that you can kind of push and pull in those different directions. Currently the visuals are just of the main joints, but there's a bunch of joints that move to create muscle mass and fat deposits on the body. So you will have more control over them, over that, and should be able to create better results. It isn't the end-all solution to that. We've had that on our radar for a while and are constantly learning how to potentially best implement that kind of thing.
Absolutely. I know that's been something that we've been asked quite a lot. So for the folks in chat asking about that, I hope that was able to answer your question a little bit. Now, we're a little bit over time. Teagan, was there any last minute stuff that you wanted to show off on screen? Because otherwise, I think we might have to start saying our goodbyes.
I think that was pretty much everything I wanted to show on screen. Yeah, I can certainly stick around a little bit more and answer a few more questions now that I'm done demoing things.
Oh boy, will there be an option to do things that won't be printable? It sounds like we have that option. Are we going to have
100%.
a disclaimer to be like, hey, as a heads up, if you try to buy this, ooh.
Yeah, let me tell you about that.
It will be hard to make sure things are printable than things aren't printable for the kitbashing side of things.
Yeah. So for kitbashing, we're really saying, all right, safety rails are off. Go forth, create madness, and we'll love it. But we might not print it.
Yes.
So we're actually going to give you a little bit of training material and let you kind of go through a tutorial on understanding what's printable and what's not. And we're really going to put it on our users and you folks to kind of understand if something can be printed. For example, a floating sword, not going to be printed. A sword that's on the back, that's kind of pushed in, nice, it's going to print great. But if it's only a little bit touching, it's probably going to fall off, it's going to snap right off, and we may end up rejecting those. So part of the difficulty of kitbashing is creating that ecosystem of feedback and tutorials and understanding that allows you all to have such great power, but also gives you some responsibility in it too.
It's a lot. As we've mentioned before, there is this extra challenge with Hero Forge because we have to think about the printability, which is not necessarily something that you have to think about when you're going with game design or rendering it. browser like we have to. So I think
Hypersmith in chat asks a great question, and one, I just want to shout out Hype's work. Hype does incredible work. I think Hypersmith is responsible for some of the most I don't know how that was made miniatures, and I love those. But Hype asks about the ability to group items, and something I couldn't demo because I didn't quite get that far because of the sticky glitch there, unfortunately, was the ability to parent items under other items. So you could attach something to the arm, and now when the arm moves around, the thing moves with it, and we give you control over that parenting system, and that means you can go change the pose, and your intent of, say, adding a strand of hair to the front of the face moves around as the face moves. So yes, absolutely, one of the core features.
Teagan. I missed that question. That is a very good question. That's going to be a wonderful feature. That's so exciting. I know people have asked for a while about making sure that when you pose something and then move stuff around, it stays there. So I'm very glad that we'll be able to have that. So I think, chat, unfortunately, we do need to leave you at this point. Do you have any parting words, Maverick, Nora, Teagan, that you would like people in chat to know? Any last things that we didn't quite get to?
I just want to reiterate how cool it is what everyone makes, everyone in chat, everyone online, everyone that shares the things that they make of all sorts. It is the most exciting part of all of this, and to just be able to give you more tools to do that with is the most exciting part, absolutely. So please keep creating and keep showing things, because you do so much more than we can imagine from the get-go, and it's brilliant every time. I don't know, the whole audience is just getting better and better at making minis over time too, so there's this just huge rise of creative content coming from everyone using it. Just thank you everyone for all your passion and for just the support too.
That was really, really well put, and I think it gets to the core of what makes it so wonderful to work on this project with y'all, the audience, and the users of Hero Forge and the team, is that feedback between we make a tool, y'all create incredible things with it, which inspires us to improve the tool, make the next tool, and we've been collaborating with y'all in that way for years and years and years now, and it's thanks to that collaboration that we have, I think, probably the most fleshed out character customizer out there. The level of expression possible with Hero Forge is like nothing we could even have dreamt of to begin with, thanks to the enthusiasm, encouragement, and just raw talent of both the team in-house, but everyone using it too. So thank you for so enthusiastically using it to express characters. We love characters. We can't wait to see what you make with the face customizer and beyond. Look out for all sorts of good things from Hero Forge.
That was well said. I don't have much to add on top of that. I just can't wait to see what you guys all do with these features that we push out for this. I'm going to be sitting here day one as soon as this goes live. My bug report's open because, man, this is a big feature that touches a lot of things on the site. It's going to be, and you guys are going to be, well, we're going to have so many more hands on deck as soon as you guys have access to touch it. Looking forward to that and the slew of fun that brings. But yeah, as always, it's been a pleasure working on this project. It's been a lot of fun, great learning opportunity, a lot of fun working just with everyone through this. Can't wait to get this in your guys' hands.
Got one quick request. We got a bunch of requests in chat for one final thing from me. So yes, everyone you get a himbo reveal. Here's the boy. He doesn't look there we go. Say hi, himbo. No, he's shy. Look at him, he's shy. This was wonderful. Everyone in chat, thank you so much for tuning in. Teagan, Maverick, Nora, thank you so much for demoing this and for giving all of your wonderful insight into the face customizer. Y'all, people in chat are so stoked about it. We appreciate everyone tuning in. We appreciate everyone's questions. Those were all incredibly good questions. And as always, we really appreciate your patience as we continue work on making an incredible product for you. For the people in chat who showed up late, I'm confirming here that the VOD, the video on demand, will be available both on our Twitch channel indefinitely, and we will be editing it down and putting it on YouTube as well. So you'll have plenty of places to watch it in whatever platform works best for you. And as mentioned before, if you go ahead and join our Discord, which you can find with !Discord in chat, you're able to ask some more questions. Sometimes our devs and art team are in there to answer questions. You get sneak peeks, you get to be involved in a really wonderful community. So thank you everyone so much for joining us. In terms of the actual Twitch channel ourselves, we'll be live again on Thursday to do some mini painting together. We will not be taking more questions about Face Customizer at that time, but we are going to be painting minis with the official mini painter of Dimension 20, a very wonderful gentleman named Shane Brockway. So if you want to come, if you enjoy sort of the Hero Forge live content, come join us for that and it'll be a blast. But in the meantime, have a wonderful night. Stay hydrated, sit up straight. I bet some of you started shrimping during that stream. Lord knows I did. And I will see everyone later. Have a wonderful night, everyone. Bye. Say bye, Himbo. No. All right, take care.